Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining in today. Today, we are going to be discussing cover letters and references, and hopefully, I am going to simplify this for all of you. My name is Susan Delahousse. I am the career advisor for the School of Professional Advancement. Before joining Tulane, I did work in recruiting at big law firms and a tech company. So I was the person who was reading cover letters and checking references and looking over resumes and hosting interviews and all those fun things through the interview job process. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to talk about is your cover letter. And I do want to say, I talk to a lot of people who are doing hiring, and nowadays, often there's an option to add a cover letter. And I met with someone, it was probably over a year ago, who said that they had, over 100 applicants for a position, and only 5 people attached a cover letter. And they interviewed those 5 people. So it really can make a big difference if there is an option to add additional materials when you are in that job search process, you're applying for positions online, to go ahead and add a cover letter. Now, with the help of AI, you can have one made in a few seconds, but we do want to heavily edit if we are using AI. If we're not, you can many times you can use a very similar cover letter when applying and with just changing a few things. I like when I'm applying for positions to use the same header that I'm using on my resume, and I'll use this header on my resume, my cover letter, and my references, just so everything matches and it looks nice for the recruiter. If they're printing things out and they get a pile of papers mixed up, they know they're all yours. So starting at the beginning of a cover letter, dear hiring manager, unless they tell you who to address it to, don't try and guess. When I was doing recruiting at a law firm, I was strictly hiring attorneys. Our director of HR, she was hiring staff. And a lot of times applicants would go online, they'd see the director of HR's name, and they would address it to her, even though they were applying for attorney positions. And then I was immediately confused because I was like, are they applying for an attorney position or are they applying for a staff position? So I know sometimes it seems really vague to put dear hiring manager if you don't have someone's name. It's okay. The recruiter does not mind that. It's better than to keep it vague than to confuse the recruiter. In my opinion, a cover letter should just be 3 paragraphs. 4 is fine, and definitely fit on one page. A cover letter is not a place for bullets. That's for your resume. And in this first paragraph is the basics. In the first line, you want to state the position that you're interested in. So when I was applying to Tulane, I would like to apply for the career advisor position at Tulane University School of Professional Advancement, period. And the reason why I highlighted this sentence in bright yellow is because when I am in that job search process and I'm creating cover letters, a lot of the cover letters that I create, I can reuse them for the most part. But I want to make sure that I change that first sentence. And I've seen it a million times where people forget to change that first sentence. And I've received an application and the attorney who was applying to the firm where I was working has left it so that it's still to our biggest competitor. This is the reason why you don't need to write the name of the company that you're applying to or the title of the position anywhere else in the cover letter, because chances are very high you're going to forget to change it. I was working with a student and they were like, "No, I always remember to change it. Let me show you my cover letter." They pulled up their cover letter while we were meeting, shared their screen, and they were like, "Oh no." They forgot to change it. So in that first paragraph, they wrote, let's say they were applying to work at Tulane and also applying to Loyola. Well, they left Loyola University in the last paragraph. It happens all the time. We all make mistakes, but when you're applying for positions, you want your resume, cover letter, everything to be perfect. I know sometimes it's not possible. We do make mistakes, but in order to eliminate some errors, I only recommend you put that title of the job and the place where you're applying in the first sentence. The recruiter doesn't care how many times you mention the name of their company. I promise. In this first paragraph, you want to be sure to mention any geographic ties to the area. If someone suggested that you applied for that position and they work there, you can mention that person's name. When I'm applying for positions in New Orleans, this is where I say I was born and raised in New Orleans and I'm committed to staying here in the area. This is something that AI can't write. This is something that is specific to you. This is something that you can make a connection. The recruiter is like, great, this person has family and friends here from growing up here. They're probably going to stay here. And if you're not from New Orleans, but you do have family here, you can mention that. I'm working with a student right now who's looking at positions in Washington, D.C., and he has grandparents and aunts and uncles there. He is going to say in his cover letter, I'm interested in moving to the DC metro area. I have close family in the area, and those things are great to say. If you are moving to a city, let's say you're moving to New York City, and your apartment lease starts in New York on August 1st. You're looking for a job in New York. You can say, I will be moving to New York on August 1st. Another thing you could say is, let's say you're not moving there till September, but you're going to be there the week of August 1st. You can say, I will be moving to New York on September 1st. Additionally, I will be in the city the week of August 1st and available for interviews in person. This first paragraph is where you want to get out anything that's not job related. It's more personal information. And if you don't have any of that, it's okay. You can let them know your three biggest assets. Mine would be, I am organized, I'm reliable, I'm very responsive. So there are ways to fill that paragraph if you don't have a person in that office who suggested you apply for that position, or you're not from that place. And so that first paragraph is very important. Recruiters look at cover letters for less than 10 seconds, but there's going to be key things that stick out to them that they're going to grasp onto. This second paragraph is where you sell yourself. You highlight things on your resume that are a fit for this position that you're applying for. You don't need to rewrite your entire resume. They have a copy of your resume. You want to pick out, my background was in recruiting. So when I was applying for this job, I talked about, my experience with resumes and cover letters and references and interviewing and all those things. And any prior achievements, any qualifications that you have, anything relating to school, and why you want the job. Try to pick something off of that job description that kind of makes you married to this position. What is making you a fit for this? The third paragraph is very simple. It's just, thank you for your time and consideration. I hope to have the opportunity to speak with you to discuss my candidacy. It can be 2 sentences and then sign your name here. And so I'll show you how I'll do an example on using ChatGPT, but we are going to edit heavily because ChatGPT does make really long cover letters. And we'll do that now before we get into our talk about references. Here, I'm going to prompt AI. I'm going to say, I need a cover letter for this position I'm applying for. And we're going to we'll hop over to LinkedIn. We're doing this all in real time, hopefully. LinkedIn does a great job of picking out jobs. If I just go to the jobs tab, picking out jobs for me that I think are going to be great fits. I'm just going to copy and paste this job description here. And I'm going to put it into ChatGPT, and then I'm going to say, please use the following information from my resume to create cover letter. Now I'm going to go to my resume and I'm going to take all my experience. I might cut one thing out and show you. I'm going to take all my experience. I'm not putting my name in here, nothing, but I did have a job here that doesn't fit. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to see what ChatGPT comes up with. This is a really long cover letter. And we're going to copy it and we're just going to put it in. And we're going to edit heavily. A recruiter is not going to read all this. It's also not going, it mentions career coach a million times. So I would actually go back to ChatGPT and I would ask it to take out career coach. I would just say to include the name of the company in this first sentence. So I would give it another prompt. We're going to play with the formatting, and I wouldn't say I am excited to apply. I am going to go more formal here. So I'm just going to change it. I would like to apply. Then this is great. With this is, I believe, a remote position. So I'm not going to have any ties to the area. I don't know anyone who works there. This is a great example of a first paragraph where it's not hitting on anything super personal, but it is picking up some really great things about my years of experience in career advising, recruiting, talent acquisition, and higher education. You want to make sure this is all true, right? And you also want to go through this with a fine tooth comb and make sure there are words in here. If you wouldn't use a certain word, don't use it. Change it and use a word that you would use. In here, you know, this is great. This is a great paragraph. And I know I said in the beginning of the webinar that it should be 3 paragraphs, but I'm gonna go with 4. I'm just gonna remove this paragraph. I think it's just a little too much. It's a little too wordy. It's excessive. This is great. It kind of depends on how much experience you have. I'm also gonna take out this entire paragraph. It's too much. I promise you, the recruiter is not sitting up late at night reading your cover letter word for word. They're just skimming over it. So edit it heavily. Like I said, I would, make this paragraph short, this last paragraph shorter. And this is it. This is how I would use AI to help me write a cover letter. Now, if I wasn't on Zoom with y'all, I would go through and read these, and focus on it and make sure I'm using all the words that I would use. It's definitely painting a picture of everything that I've done. And, that took us probably 5 minutes. So I do recommend AI when you are editing or creating cover letters. But also, this could be one that I could use for multiple jobs that I'm applying for career coaching. And I would just change this first sentence because nowhere else am I mentioning the name of this company that I'm applying for. So this would be a great template for me to work off of if I was applying to, let's go back to, on LinkedIn, there's all these career coach jobs. So I could potentially use the same cover letter for all of these career coaching positions. Now, let's say I wanted to get back into recruiting, which is what I've done in the past. I would take a job description that I was applying for in recruiting, also use my resume, but it would be a different cover letter. It wouldn't be the one that we just created. So AI, don't be scared of it, especially applying for jobs is not part of class. There's no rules, but definitely make sure there are some telltale signs when you are using AI that you used AI, right? The M dashes, the long dashes. There's certain words that I see that I think that when I see the AI uses the word strong a lot. I didn't see it in this cover letter, but it's a word that I take out. If there's too many adjectives or they're a little too flowery, I take them out. So definitely try to make sure that you're humanizing it because it is obvious. And if it is really long, then I do think that AI wrote it as well. even if you wrote it yourself. Sometimes I suspect it if it's a really long cover letter. Now we're going to take a look at your references. And references, there is no need to provide references until you're asked for them. And that is typically at the end of the interview process. Let's say you've had 3 rounds of interviews at Tulane. This actually happened to me. And they were about to give me the offer. The person who was going to be my supervisor emailed me and requested my references. And if you are in that interview process, you want to make sure you have your 3 references lined up. This, like I showed you before, I do like to include the same header that I've used on my cover letter and on my resume. So it all matches. They know how to get in touch with me right away. And for your references, you want to have 3 people. Now, some people ask for more than 3 references because sometimes some people don't respond. And so they want to have 4 references just in case they don't hear back from someone. The other thing is, I've heard recently that they are requiring at least one person was your supervisor. For your references, when I was applying at Tulane, I had someone who was above me was a reference, someone who had been my equal at a job, and someone who had been below me at a job. And it just worked out that way. But you can use, if you're just getting out of school, you can use a professor. You can use anyone who you have worked with, who knows your work ethics. And it's okay if they're not working at the company anymore where you all worked together. Also, it doesn't matter what kind of job it was. If you were a lifeguard in high school and someone who worked with you can vouch for you that you were on time, you were positive, you want people who are going to be your cheerleaders. And when the recruiter calls or emails, you want these people, you know that they're going to say the best things about you. That's the most important thing. And now it used to be that, and some people still are calling references. I liked to call references because I could hear their tone of voice. If I called and I said, hey, I'm interviewing Anne for this job. And if they were like, oh my gosh, she's, the tone of their voice went really high and they got excited, then I knew I had a great candidate. Typically, recruiters will have a few questions that they will ask, and just to verify that they worked together, how great their work ethics are, and they don't like to keep people too long. So it's not that many questions. It's just really verifying a few things. More and more people are emailing for references because a lot of people don't answer their cell phones because they don't recognize the number. I know someone who was recently interviewing for a position at Tulane. They emailed his references in order to schedule a time to talk to them on the phone. I've been a reference for someone recently, and the company used a third-party platform that checked people's references. So they sent me an email, I filled out questions, hit submit, and I put exclamation points to try to make a point that they were a great candidate. So there are different ways that companies are reaching out to people for references. When a company does ask for your references, you want to contact your 3 references and let them know, even if you asked them a month ago to be your reference, you want to text them or call them and say, hey, I just applied for this career advising, or I've been in the interview process for this career advising position at Tulane. They just asked for my references. I wanted to give you a heads up because they're going to be reaching out to you. So look out for either a phone call from a 504 number or an email from Tulane University. And then usually those people will let you know, oh, hey, Tulane emailed me. I spoke with them. I gave you a great, review. So it's good for them to know that Tulane's reaching out, and also for you to know that they were able to connect. So you could sleep easier at night when you're in that interview process. But it is good to let them know you're excited about the job and thank them. People appreciate that when you tell them, thank you so much for being my reference. I really appreciate that, because it is taking time out of their day to either have the conversation or answer some questions on your behalf over email. You don't need to put on your resume references available by request. You don't need to attach your references as an additional document when applying for jobs. Only if a company asks for it in advance do you need to supply your references. Typically, they will ask for your references at the end of the interview process, and then they will connect with those people. And so those are that's my review of how to create a cover letter, how to build your references list. And I will send out an email with these documents attached. So you have them, you can use them as a template. And let's see, someone did ask a question. What should we say to make our cover letter more customized to each company, or should it be more generalized? So I think for each company, you can do exactly what I did with the job description, putting it into AI and taking the relevant experience that you have from your resume, which could be your education and experience, or just your education. You can put it into AI to make it more personalized every time. And like I said, in that first paragraph, if there is something specific about the city that you're moving to, the city you're applying in, contact that you have at that company, if there's something that stands out to you on their website, we'll get into it in, I think, week 4 of this summer boot camp about the interview process, but how important it is when you do go into an interview and you have researched that company and you tell them, oh, I just read an article recently about how you all are expanding and you're opening an office in Baton Rouge. That's really exciting. They will be so impressed that you did some homework. And so if you do, if you are in that process of job searching and you don't have time to rewrite your cover letter a million times, it's okay. You can use your general cover letter, like the one I did for career advising just now. But if you do want to, get more specific in each cover letter, then go for it. Recruiters do notice those things. But I'm going to tell you, not a lot of people are even attaching a cover letter. So you're already ahead of the game by attaching a cover letter. You'd be surprised how many people don't. When I was a recruiter, I required it because I actually wanted to see, if people were doing the formatting right. And there's all these little cues that a candidate can give if their resume is organized and their cover letter is organized. And without seeing the candidate, I can tell a lot about a candidate from their resume, cover letter, and any interactions I have with them on email and things along those lines. So hopefully you'll join me for some upcoming sessions this summer. Also, I will send you all a copy of this recording. If you want to share it with anyone, that's great. And I will also send you copies of these templates so you can create your own cover letter and also create references. So I appreciate you all attending and hope to see you at the next two sessions. And certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. I am happy to help. Thanks.